as a woman, where do you start? You start by recognizing there are men who are interested in you, but they don't stand up to your qualifications of a long-term relationship. And ideally, you let go of that concept. If a man's more interested in you, if you're interested in him, probably not going to work out. Why is that? Because if you're, not that you're interested, I said something wrong there. If you're pursuing a man who's less interested in you and you're trying to get him to be interested in you, you're on your male side.
Right.
I talk to so many women who go, yeah, but the men who are interested in me, I'm not interested in them. I go, that's because you're on your male side. You need to give them a chance.
So true.
Give them a chance to pursue. They're not going to produce that testosterone excitement right away. Yin energy, the feminine energy, is slow to rise and slow to go down. You have to interact with them. And you're a more mature woman. You know what you like sexually and so forth. You let him do that for you. Only for you. Everything is for you, not him. I give you an example, and I know that some women listening have never even had an orgasm. Half the women in America have not had an orgasm. Half of those women have never had an orgasm with a man, but they depend on a vibrator. So this is like learning how to have an orgasm. So this was a great little story once. I was teaching a class, and I was talking about how women need to learn to receive. Is that women, when their self-esteem is not fully, when they don't have permission to be all of who they are, I'll call that low self-esteem. And then when they get into the bedroom, they want to give and give and give for the man. Okay. So I was saying women have to learn to receive. And this one woman in the seminar, she stood up like, oh my God, that's it. That's it. Everybody went, what? She said, that's why I had my only orgasm. And we said, well, what was it? And she said, well, there was this time in the past where I was at a bar back in the days when people didn't have internet and all that. I was at a bar, and this guy was really pushy. I'll make a long story short. He was a little gross and below her standard, and we tried to get rid of him. But he was very patient. He was very confident. He'd say things like, look, I'm only a guy. I'm not a perfect guy, but, I'm really attracted to you. And I can take you places that you've never been before. And he said, let's have sex tonight. I can take you places. He must have said it 5 times to her. And she thought, well, okay, I'd like to go to places I've never been before. So I'm not going to, but I'm not really like this guy. I'm not going to give him anything. I'm not going to do anything for him. He's going to have to take me places I've never been before. And then she had an orgasm. And she now realized the reason she had an orgasm is because she wasn't giving so much to the man. Now, I'm not saying you have to have some guy you don't want to give to at all. I'm just saying that you have to learn to receive. And for her, she was so out of balance. The only way she could just be selfish in sex was to not like the man at all. The goal is to be selfish in sex and love the man. Men just want to make women happy. That's the whole thing, is that women don't get that your happiness and your pleasure is the most meaningful thing for a man. But it's hard to think that, because men, once they get an erection, the erection says me, me, me. It just feels so good to hold that handle. It's just fantastic. So he goes back on himself. But if you ask men afterwards what was in their lives, what are the most fulfilling sexual experiences they had, it's always a woman having orgasms. That's it. It's not his orgasm. He doesn't go, gee, he might say, boy, I lasted so long, but it gave her orgasms. That's the whole thing, is her fulfillment is the most amazing thing for him, because that means I achieved a goal. That means, look what I did. That's the masculine energy. Look what I did. And for the woman, the pleasure is, look what I got a guy to do for me. It's like, if you're a woman and you're in an office and somebody bring your boyfriend or your husband sends flowers, you're like glowing, because you go, look what my partner did for me. It's a feather in your cap that somebody does something for you. Whereas for a man, it's a feather in his cap when he sees your reaction to what he did for you. And this is a bottom line gender difference that we want to honor. And by honoring it, it helps us to bring our hormones back into balance.
Yeah, I think what you just hit upon there is such gold for this audience, John, because I think for a lot of women, once they like a guy or they're interested in a guy, or they start exploring a relationship with a guy, maybe the guy is doing nice things for them, or maybe he's taking them out on dates. And so these women, many of us, and I can speak for myself back to when I was single, we start feeling like we need to reciprocate in kind. And we lose that sense of knowing and understanding how deeply satisfying it is for a man to just have a woman receive. And I like to call it graciously receiving what he has to offer, and then acknowledging in him and appreciating him, and then he's getting, it's like a win-win scenario. He's getting what he needs, and a woman is getting to receive and be fulfilled by what she's receiving. But a lot of women have become so, they're thinking it's got to be this quid pro quo, or they're so unaccustomed to receiving. They're so good at giving, but they're so unaccustomed to receiving that it can be really hard for them not to start over functioning or over giving in a relationship. And I just think what you were hitting on is just pure gold for this audience.
And also to know that once the sex happens, because men do ejaculate who haven't learned how not to ejaculate, he will disconnect. He will pull back energetically. He has to pull back to rebuild his masculine yang energy. That's the yin yang, feminine masculine. He will pull back. And at that time, women would then start to give more to get him back. And that's the big mistake.